They're calling it anti-weaponization, but what if it's really a revenge squad inside the DOJ? Dick Durbin just caught a Trump nominee trying to dodge that question, and the silence said everything.
Programs are free of fraud.
Thank you, Senator Durbin.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Mr. McDonald, welcome, and welcome to your lovely family. Be careful with your comments because 3 of your children are taking notes on everything that you say. And there's going to be a record over there for you to answer to later on. Let me ask you a question about weaponization, which has been a term frequently used by the new administration to stop weaponization. A gentleman by the name of Ed Martin is well known to this committee. He's been removed from 2 positions already in the Trump administration. I don't know where he is today. But you have been identified as the co-chair of the Weaponization Working Group. Mr. Martin has described that as a group that's going to get even with people who are critical of the president. Are you co-chair of that group?
Senator, thank you for the question. President Trump was right early in the administration to identify the reality of weaponization in the federal government in the recent past and commissioned the Department of Justice to review certain prior facts and certain prior cases to determine the facts of those underlying those cases and to ensure that those misuses of the government power were not engaged in again. The Department of Justice, under the leadership of Attorney General Bondi, has been undertaking that work to understand what went wrong during the prior administration, to learn from it, to learn from the mistakes of the past, and to ensure that we do not make those mistakes
So the
again
answer is yes, you're co-chair of the Weaponization Working Group?
Senator, I am involved in the work of the Weaponization Working Group. That's been one of my many responsibilities in the office of the Deputy Attorney General.
You're very tactful in your answer. The president is explicit. He's going after the people that he thinks went after him. And as many of us believe, that should come to an end. But you've been part of Mr. Martin's effort, and I want to put that on the record. How about Jared Weiss? Do you know him?
Senator, as the Department of Justice has reported, Mr. Wise is an employee of the Department of Justice.
And what was your involvement in the decision to hire him?
Senator, I am not today going to get into any personnel matters with respect to the Department of Justice. I will say that I am not involved in hiring decisions for the Department of Justice.
I understand why you don't want to answer the question. Here's the story on Jared Wise. Jared Wise was here on January 6th with the insurrectionists that stormed the Capitol. He was filmed, and he was saying, excuse me, to the police officers, quote, "You guys are disgusting. You are the Nazi. You are the Gestapo." He egged on the violent mob that was attacking police officers, yelling, quote, "Yeah, F them. Yeah, kill them." The man was then prosecuted for his conduct, and he was subject, of course, to the full unconditional pardon of President Trump, and then went to work for the Justice Department in your division. Do you have any problems with his background?
Senator, what I'm here to talk about today is the problem facing the American taxpayer, which is, as I mentioned, between $230 billion annually in fraud perpetrated against government taxpayers.
I want to know more about you. I'm asking if you know Jared Weiss and his background, and were you part of the decision to make him an employee of the Justice Department after what I just described? It's a simple question. You can say, yes, I was involved. No, I wasn't involved.
Senator, I would refer back to my prior answer where I mentioned that I am not involved in the hiring decisions associated with the Department of Justice.
Do you have any problem with his background working for the Justice Department?
Senator, I would refer to my prior answer, which is that the weaponization work in the Department of Justice currently is critical work to understand some of the underlying facts and circumstances of what went on in the prior administration.
I think it's
and
more
the President and the Attorney General was right to focus the Department of Justice.
I think it's more than a seminar on what would happen before. It is an agenda, which we're hoping will end, and I don't hear that from you. Let me ask you, were you involved in the decision to disband the National Cryptocurrency Enforcement Team?
Senator, as the Department of Justice has made clear, those personnel with the cryptocurrency expertise have been added to other portions of the Department of Justice, and anyone engaged in any sort of fraud, regardless of the currency, is investigated and is prosecuted where appropriate by the Department of Justice.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Senator.
What you just watched was not a routine confirmation exchange. It was a warning. When Dick Durbin pressed the Trump DOJ nominee on the so-called weaponization working group, he wasn't asking about abstract policy. He was asking whether the Department of Justice is being transformed into a political payback machine, designed not to uphold the law, but to get even with people who criticized Donald Trump. And the answer mattered. Over and over, Durbin gave the nominee a chance to say no, to clearly reject the idea that this group exists to punish Trump's critics, to distance himself from Ed Martin's own words describing the group as one that would get even. Instead, we got verbal gymnastics, evasion, deflection, carefully lawyered language that never actually denied the premise. That's not accidental. That's intentional. Then came the bombshell moment. The hiring of a January 6th insurrectionist, someone who screamed at police, encouraged violence against officers, was prosecuted, then pardoned by Trump, and somehow landed a job inside the Justice Department. Durbin asked a basic question any American should care about. Do you have a problem with that background? And again, no straight answer.